Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who Full Circle, the third Doctor Who story from season 18. So Full Circle, this story is, well, it's actually quite good in a way. I was expecting this to be a bad or mediocre story, rewatching it, after the first thing wasn't terribly impressed. However, this time round, I enjoyed it a bit more. I liked it. I don't think the politics are that great in this story. There's some political stuff, and I don't quite think it's done that great. And some of the stuff with the people of the planet aren't that enjoyable. And I don't see the point of just having some rebellious kids against it all. I mean, it doesn't really go anywhere. The worst that happens is that there's a trial inquiry thing, but that doesn't go anywhere. So that's hardly pointless. The only really thing it's there for is so that this guy can die and say, we've come full circle, and tell that to Adric, who then finds the TARDIS, and then hangs around with the Doctor and Romana for a bit, and also get Romana bitten by that spider, which has her connected to the Marshmen. It's a bit confusing, but it makes sense when you watch it. So the whole children and adults being separated for a bit and bickering with each other just doesn't really make much sense, and I don't think it works. And the whole stuff with the people and their laws, it kind of makes sense on a world-building scale, but when the twists happen, it's like, so what was the point? But where this story succeeds is with said world-building, and also making a pretty much a good threat of the Marshmen. I mean, the costumes look pretty silly, but other than that, they're a pretty good threat. Some of them are quite young and don't know any better, but if you show them kindness, as the Doctor shows, if you try and tame them, then they'll be okay. But if you let them loose and a bit of a rampage, things can go wrong. And also, when they're full grown, they're able to understand and adapt. And it turns out that there's this whole evolution thing going on. So, yeah, that's Full Circle. That's it's all right. It's pretty good. Also, I like how this story is pretty much starts out as basically they're on their way back to Gallifrey after getting the call at the end of the last story. They've dropped off the Earthman that they said they'd take back. Romana's now upset because they want her back, whilst the Doctor's looking forward to seeing Leela and Andred again, and K9 Mark 1. There's a nice couple of references in this story to An Earthly Child, the War Games, and the Invasion of Time, so it's nice to see those references. And then the characters are sent into E-Space by accident. I forgot to mention that in my review of The Leisure Hive and Meglos, that now they got rid of the randomizer that had been introduced in Season 17, but due to the low amount of use in that season, it's probably just as well that the thing was just thrown out in Leisure Hive. It wasn't really being used. Not really. I mean, Season 17, it was like 2 uses at the start, to go to Skaro, and then again to go to Paris, although in the in a different time. Then Creature from the Pit, they just arrived there. Nightmare of Eden, they're answering a distress call. Haunt of Nyman, they sort of arrived there. And Shada, I don't think they even bothered with the randomizer. They went direct to Cambridge. Maybe it was a bit later than planned, but still went direct to Cambridge. So you can see that the randomizer just became pointless later on in Season 17. So by the time Season 18 came around, they decided, along with all the new changes, they decided to ditch it. So I'm glad about that. But it also comes up with a theory that because the randomizer was supposed to stop the Black Guardian from trying to find the Doctor, Romana, and K9, and the TARDIS, my theory is that maybe he's now found them and sent them to E-Space. Maybe he caused this little problem in E-Space. This has never been confirmed. This is just a theory. But the TARDIS goes through this, goes into E-Space by accident, and they're going to have to find a way out in some way that we will see in Warrior's Gate. So maybe the Black Guardian had something to do with it, possibly. And then when this failed, he tried to get rid of the Doctor again. However, the Master beat him to it, and the Doctor regenerated into the Fifth Doctor. So the Black Guardian decided to plan out his revenge on the Fifth Doctor, possibly. And that's where we come to the Black Guardian trilogy in season 20. But that's just theory. And also, with Full Circle, I think they used some great location works and some pretty decent set work as well. Maybe not so much the cave stuff, but on the spaceship, it's pretty good. But like I said, the location is great. Tom Baker is still brilliant as the Doctor. Lalla Ward is pretty great as Romana, and scarily great when she's possessed. Yeah, she does kind of sort of get into trouble and needs rescuing in this story. But in this, like in Meglos, it kind of works as well, because this time round, well, for starters, she gets kidnapped by the kids. The TARDIS gets taken over by the kids, but then Adric overpowered him, and then she just acts a bit like how the Doctor would act in such a situation, while still retaining control. And then she gets bitten by the spiders, but that works great as a plot, part of the plot, to see her possessed, and she's pretty great then. And like I said, Lalla Ward does a great job playing a pretty creepy and scary possessed Romana. So on the whole, Full Circle isn't amazing, but it's good. It's got some enjoyable bits. I do think part 1 has a lot going on in it. It just has so much happening, and then but the other 3 episodes do manage to balance out the rest, and there is a great cliffhanger at the end of part 1, and it is a pretty good story. It's not outstanding. It's no City of Death, but it's also no Haunt of Nimon. So Full Circle, it's pretty great. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Yeah, nothing spectacular, but nothing awful. It's good, very good. It's good, just good. So yeah, it's Full Circle. Next time we should be looking at what should be my favourite story of season 18, if it still is after the rewatch, State of Decay. Hopefully it will remain my favourite story of the season. Fun facts, Full Circle was my least favourite, but as I've mentioned, it's now gone up in opinion, plus the previous 2 stories went down, so now Full Circle's more around the middle, I think. We'll see how the other stories compare afterwards, but like I said, hopefully State of Decay will remain my favourite. That was the one I found the best on the previous viewings, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. Maybe I'm also wondering, because Warrior's Gate sees Romana and K9. Actually, I'm going to talk about that in Warrior's Gate. Okay. So yeah, that's basically